How can we bridge the cultural divide? With us here is a former British Defence Attaché who served widely in the Arab world, Jeremy Williams. He now trains Westerners on how to do business in the Arab world. So, Jeremy Williams, how easy do you think it is for people to unwittingly cause offence, even well-meaning people like poor Mrs Gibbons?
Well, I think it is, especially in an Islamic dimension. I mean, I can remember going to a lunch once in one of the Gulf states, and it was just after a big military parade, and it was a very smart lunch. And it was at the time of Salman Rushdie. And one young man jumped up and seized a knife and said, "I will kill him now." I mean, the other 200 people were busying themselves with their knives and forks. But I mean, it's tinder dry, certainly in the Islamic world.
I mean, that's a fairly extreme case, and obviously Mrs Gibbons' one is a case that's become a huge diplomatic row, but it is relatively easy. Also,
it is. I mean, I think in her case, it was clumsy. It was innocent clumsy. But I suspect that the Sharia court would have preferred not to have the case brought to them, and yet somebody did. So then they have to face it.
It's the different cultures, though, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, one parent at the school where she was teaching said, look, a teddy bear in the Sudan doesn't denote a cuddly, comforting creature, but a wild animal, and the last thing you want to do is call it Muhammad after the Prophet.
Well, I mean, it's hugely unfortunate. The whole thing is unfortunate. And of course now we have people rioting in the street, you know, in support of those that condemn this innocent act, and it's an enormous shame. So I think one has to learn what can be done in terms of offending other cultures.
But can you really teach people, I mean, you know, in just about that minute detail to say, look, Paddington Bear, look, don't go there, that doesn't work in this country?
I think bears and Paddington is something one can't teach, but I think you can teach that Islam is fundamentally important to very many people throughout the world. And of course it isn't just Islam, it's the national and tribal mirror or prism that is put on the foundations of Quran. I mean, if you take something like modesty, the interpretation of modesty is different in Sudan, it's different in Saudi Arabia, it's different in Dubai. But the Quran requires, as I'm sure you know, just modesty, and how you interpret that. So you have to learn about Islam, you have to learn about the culture that applies Islam in its own style.
So you've got somebody who comes to you and says, Jeremy Williams, train me, I'm going to the Arab world somewhere. What would you say to them? I mean, when it comes to hospitality, for instance, would you give them do's and don'ts?
Well, first, be patient. Take patience. If you're not patient, don't go near the Arab world. Patience and resilience. And hospitality, it goes straight back to desert heritage. Think about the reputation of someone. They have nothing. They have a goat, they have a camel. It's their reputation of hospitable, maybe noble, maybe brave, a good poet. But hospitality today in an office, for example, maybe you've had 5 cups of coffee in 5 offices in Arabia, in a Gulf country, and you're offered another one, and you're feeling a bit high from the coffee. You must have something. That you cannot wave hospitality away. You may have to say, could I have orange juice, could I have coffee, could I have a biscuit, could I have a glass of water. What you cannot do is to wave hospitality away, because you touch deeply on a heritage which comes straight from the desert. Hospitality is a very important thing, and I teach that in my lectures. I teach people the twiddle, how to, after 1 cup, 2 cups.
Oh, I don't know about the twiddle.
Well,
What's
you
the
must
twiddle?
come to one of my courses.
Well, no, but clearly I need to. But, I mean, do you think it's particularly difficult for the Brits as well? I mean, this British Council survey said that British people, particularly young people, are not very aware of the outside world.
Yes, well, yes, empire is over. I mean, if you look at people who go to Dubai, for example, they think they're just going to another sort of Spain, they're just going on holiday, and they don't really make much cultural inquiry. And I think it's important to just learn a bit about the places where you're going. I mean, I think that language is not as important as understanding the culture, what is polite, what is rude, which chair to sit in, how to shake a hand, how not to shake a hand with someone of the opposite sex, and so on. I think these things are more important than
Is this all right, by the way?
Well, it is if you offer it to me, but I'm not going to initiate.
All right, Jeremy Williams, thank you very much. And that is all from World News Today. You can get more on our website, bbcnews.com. From me, Zainab Badawi, and the rest of the team on World News Today, goodbye.